Welcome to another episode of Botcasters. Today with Mischa Coster. Welcome, Mischa.
Thank you.
Please introduce yourself.
Well, like you said, my name is Mischa. I'm a media psychologist. That means that I'm educated in determining what the effects are of media, online and offline, on behavior, and how you can effectively use media to influence behavior. So it's like both sides of the same coin.
Thank you for that. And we've worked together in the past on certain projects with great success. And the discussion was always how to use it in an ethical way.
Yes.
And that's kind of a problem. And the reason we're recording this session today because there was some stuff happening with Booking.com.
Yeah.
There's a class action suit in the making from Dutch and Belgian customers for them being influenced online according to Dutch and Belgian rules. You wrote a part of those rules. You were
I was involved in the process. Yes,
involved in the process, so you know about these rules. That's one thing. And the interesting thing is, okay, we have these rules, and what happens if you involve AI on top of that? Now, in the preparations of the call, we actually started recording later because we lost ourselves.
We went down a rabbit hole.
In a rabbit hole, and that's exactly what the customer has as a problem.
Yeah.
So let's start with the beginning. Explain to me what kind of techniques are we looking at that online platforms, and Booking is one of them, use to influence me as a consumer to do something they want me to do, or which might be good for me.
Yeah.
So how does that work?
Yeah. Well, first of all, let me say that there's almost no way, or it's very hard to communicate without using these techniques. I mean, as human beings and also as online systems, we all have the opportunity, and we also take that opportunity to influence other people whenever we can. We do this unconscious, and the techniques that are being used are also primarily unconscious techniques. That means that we as customers don't really recognize them as such, because lots of the times these techniques are the foundation of something that is meant to help us as a customer to choose. You have to know, like we as human beings have to take about 35,000 decisions every day. That's quite a lot, actually. And if we were to take all these decisions based on, weighing the pros and cons against each other, etc., like in a rational and autonomous way, like we think what we do as human beings, that would not be possible. So we as humans, we developed in the course of history these systems to help us make better snap judgments and snap decisions.
Is that the Kahneman story?
That's Kahneman system 1, system 2 thinking. So we have like two modes of thinking, let's say. That's something different than your left and your right hemisphere. But we have two modes of thinking, and the first mode is like the slow mode. That's the mode that we like to believe that we're using all the time because we consider ourselves very rational. And we have the fast mode that is meant for these like faster and snap judgment kind of like decisions. Shortcuts, you might call them. I always compare them to like software. You know, there's an input, and then you have something that processes it, like a black box, and there's a kind of output in terms of behavior. So I hear something, I read something, I see something online, an advertisement, a blog post, an Instagram or a TikTok video, and that's my input. And then something happens in my brain, and then I react in a certain way. You know, either I like it, or I share it, or I scroll on, or I save it, or I send it to my friends, or whatever. And in psychology, we have been doing research to find out how exactly these like fast thinking mechanisms, how they work. So what kind of shortcuts or heuristics, as we call them in psychology, do we use in order to like make sense of the world around us? And cope with all these decisions, like the 35,000 decisions that we have to make every day. So these are like well-researched heuristics that actually are meant and are there to help us decide better, decide faster, and decide better. And lots of the times you will also see that these are being used like more explicitly by companies in order to help their customers make a better decision. I mean, if I'm on a travel site and there's a specific hotel that I like to go to, or a resort I like to go to, or a flight that I like to have, then it might be beneficial for me to actually know that there are only a few seats left on the flight, or that there are only a few rooms available on the flight. But this only works if that's actually the case. I mean, if it's fake scarcity, as we call it, then I might do that 2 or 3 times, but the 4th time I will probably think like, okay, but this is not true. I'm being scammed or whatever right now, because if I go to a different site and I see that there are more available. So as a platform or as a shop owner, you have the power to be ethical in applying these shortcuts, these heuristics for customers to make more sense of the choices they have to make. And sometimes you will see that they are being applied non-ethically. So the techniques themselves, that's what I really wanted to say, the techniques themselves are not by nature unethical or ethical. By nature, they are meant to help us. And we develop them ourselves as humans to help us. But it's the way that they are being used and the intentions with which they are being used by others that makes them either ethical or unethical.
And can you give me an example of a platform that uses those techniques in an unethical way? You don't have to mention the name of a platform, but an example of how you use it in an unethical way.
Well, yeah, but like what you see in big platforms is that sometimes there is a kind of a development in the market, in the market space, that everybody is now like showing ratings or whatever, and ratings are numbers usually, like this hotel or this product or this flight scores a 5 or 4.9 out of 5 based on 2,000 reviews. Well, this is one of the heuristics that we use as humans to make sense of the world around us. If a lot of people are saying that something is very good, or a lot of people have done it, it must be good, especially if I have some relation to these people, or if these people have if they look like me, if they are like me, like also like single travelers or families or whatever.
But it's social proofing. People like you or people like me
yeah,
have said about the hotel or the plane.
Proof, and it works extra strong if the people that you have the proof of, the numbers of, if they have some kind of similarity with you. But what you will see is that lots of times these things will just find their way onto the platforms because somebody started to use it, and then others are thinking, oh, we should use it too. And that they're not intentionally meant to be unethical, but they turn out to become unethical because of, for instance, fake reviews.
Yeah, that's we know that's
fake reviews, and now who's to blame for that? Are these the flight charter owners, or the hotel owners, or the product manufacturers that are hiring these massive bot armies to write reviews about them, or are these the platforms that are selling them? Do they have to filter? So it's a very hard discussion to find out who is to blame. But okay, you asked me about, so that would be an unethical way, like faking social proof or faking scarcity. There's only one left in stock, for instance, if you sell a product, and
you go to another website and you can buy as many rooms as you like.
Yeah, and what you will see that these because these are primarily number-based heuristics, that these are very common on the bigger platforms that are selling to consumers. So I mean, then the Amazon.coms, Bol.com, Booking.com, Expedia, you name it. All these kinds of big consumer platforms, they're all using the same techniques, and some of them are like more wary of the ethical implications about it, and others are a little bit less wary of that.
Well, I understand they want to make money, but the problem here, which I see, is trust or confidence, and it's very hard to gain trust, but it's very easy to lose it.
Yeah.
And people don't know that they're being. I'm not sure if it's fair to say manipulated, but they're in a way. Manipulation has a negative connotation, but if you take the words, just the word, it has no connotation in itself. It's just you're pushing someone to do something.
It does to a certain extent. I mean, what I always say is there's a difference between influence and manipulation. So influence is basically neutral. You influence by, we're influencing each other now by talking to each other. You influence customers on a website by choosing a specific color or a specific design or whatever. So it's being done all the time. And you also influence people by telling them how many people have bought this product before the last month. That's also a way of influencing. When it becomes manipulation is when, at least for me, either there's two conditions are being met, or one of two conditions is being met. Either we are lying about information, so we are saying that a product is not in stock anymore while we know that it is, which is like a deliberate action of untruthfulness, or our intention is solely focused on providing the most value for ourselves. So if we have not at all looked at what the helpful value is, the helpfulness value is of using this technique or this heuristic for the customer, then we are manipulating, because then we don't care about the customer. Then we only care about what maximizing our own profit, and we don't care about trust or families or whatever. So if either of those two conditions is met, for me at least, then influence becomes manipulation.
Now we know the reason for this podcast was this class action suit that popped up.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of serious if you think about it, because it's not the first time, and we did some research, and we found out actually it's not just a problem from Booking.com. It's all over the place. It's actually for
it's industry wide. Yeah.
It's for a lot of the platforms, and there's actually two. The way I see it, there's two problems going on. There's one, market manipulation, where they lock in hotels contractually.
Price pressure.
Price pressure. This is one of the things that is being addressed. That's one thing. That's on their supplier side.
Yeah.
But it's a disadvantage for the consumer, because he's paying a higher price, or he sees a higher price. That's one thing. He saw they had to stop doing that, or they have to stop doing that. And it was already fined in Spain. I didn't even know that. I found that as a 400 something million euros fine in Spain only.
For anti-competitiveness laws and stuff like that.
Yeah, for basically
price manipulation.
Exactly, and basically the consumer is the victim of that manipulation. That's one thing.
Sometimes even the hotel owners or the suppliers, because they're being forced into situations in which you have to sell their product like underneath market value.
Yeah, and if we also checked out the hotel business, and we further found out that if you look at all the big players, there are basically two groups. It's Expedia and it's Booking.
In the travel industry,
In the travel industry, these are the big groups. They dominate the biggest part of the chunk of the market. Um, and so basically, it's with the two of them, it's market domination. And if they have the same practices, which I believe they have,
Mm-hmm.
um, basically the customer, the consumer is being screwed because of what you just said. Because hotels have no other choice because these are the biggest platforms. Where do you go? You need to market your
And,
product.
and and not and not to like liberate them of anything, but these providers, they also feel like they have no choice because their competitors are doing the same thing, or they're
True.
doing it, so they have to feel like, okay, well, we might not like it, but maybe we have to reconsider using these heuristical tactics in a somewhat more like ethically free, open-minded way.
Yeah, I have to state our purpose is not to bash any party or in any
No,
way or form. It
no.
just this popped up. It urged us to look into what's going on here, and basically looking into it. It's like, okay, there's market manipulation that's on one end, but then there's the manipulation of the consumer, and that also involves algorithms. So it's AI playing a game with the consumer. Now we know that, for instance, Booking, on any given day they have, I don't know, like 20 experiments going on any page.
Yeah.
So no consumer, hardly any consumer, sees the same page in the same
Mm-hmm.
format layout, and it's designed to A/B test and figure out
Yeah.
what pushes me to make a decision, and
Yeah. Yeah.
um, um, when I can be influenced to take a certain decision.
Yeah.
Now, if all the prices would be fair, that and it would be the best deal, then it would be okay.
Mm-hmm.
But we dug a little. We took one hotel just now, and we that's why the preparation took a little bit long. We dug deeper, and the deeper we dug,
The more
the
complex
more
it got.
confused we got
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's you can't understand this. They've created a jungle where
It's like
um,
incomparable because of all the different variables that they introduced, but also all the same variables with different names that they introduced. Like this discount, it has like 6 different names on this platform, and then you look at the hotel, and then it has another name, and you're confused. Like, is this the same discount that we're talking about or not? And what is the discount relative to? Because they will say like 35% discount, and then most consumers don't even think about it. They just think, oh, that's a good deal. But we should think about is 35% compared to what? What I mean, 35% discount. 35, the number itself doesn't mean a thing if you don't know what it's compared to. So what you see in the marketplace, especially in the fast-moving consumer goods like in Amazon and Bol.com, there's been some European legislation on this, is that they now have to compare it to the average price of the product, if it's a price fluctuating product, over the last, I think 6 months or so. So why they did this is primarily because they noticed that in special occasions on the year, like for Christmas and Black Friday and whatever, what these companies would do, and I'm not talking about travel. This is more like in the consumer goods industry. What these companies would do is they would gradually like increase the price, like the weeks leading up to a Black Friday, so that on Black Friday the price would already be like 20% higher than normal, but nobody would notice it. And then they would say, "We have a 20% discount for you." And people would rage about it, like 20% on this TV. Whoa, that's Mike, it's amazing. And they didn't know that then actually just paying the same price as they would have been paying like if they were to buy the product like half a year ago in the regular market conditions. So to counter that, European legislation said we have to make sure that these discounts are not being based on the last known price, but the average price over the last 6 months, which I think is a very, very wise and good way of looking at it, because then it actually means something when you say it's 25% off.
hard to check though.
Hard to check,
Uh,
very hard to check. Yeah,
it's
yeah,
it's it's data based,
yeah.
and we know they can play around with data. Not saying they're doing that, but it doesn't make it easier because there's no way to
And
check
that's
that
the
if you
whole
haven't looked at the
problem in
hotel.
data-driven behavior influence. is that we, as consumers, we don't have access to this data. We don't know if there's not an institution that qualifies or credits the data being used. So we don't actually know if it's true. Like, if there is this product really only in stock, or is this supplier using this platform and only uploading like 3 at a time, because he knows that if the amount falls below 3, that the platform will automatically say that they're almost out of stock. While he has thousands, but he's only like uploading 3 at a time. So you don't know if
artificial
it's the
scarcity.
platform that is lying to you, or actually manipulating you, or if it's the suppliers, the vendors, that are actually like have figured out a smart way to use these automated systems in their advantage.
It's actually the conclusion is we have no clue what we look at, and that's part of the problem. Now, of course, these are I wouldn't say old techniques, but they're very well known. And you can have we can have a whole list of them,
Yeah, timeless.
and they work in different ways, but they've been around for a while.
Yeah.
And a while back, I recorded a podcast with Neriel, one of the authors of one of the books that actually writes about these influencing techniques or manipulating techniques called Hooked.
Yeah.
Partly about platforms like Facebook, how they reel you in and keep your attention.
Yeah. They use like dopamine loops and like addiction loops.
Yeah.
To keep you.
And one of the things I talked to him about, and I want to put that this is already more than a year ago. So and AI has seen a huge upswing in usage and applications.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm working in and with AI myself. And what I see is that if you, and I, of course, I've experimented with it, if you ask a large language model to design a process where a sales process or a commercial process or a flow, information buying flow online for a product or a service, and apply all the techniques of Cialdini, Eyal, and what have you, and it should not care about any ethics.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever tried, but it is scary what comes out, because it will go on in the process until you take the decision to buy. So it will shoot anything at you in order to manipulate you into doing something you really don't want to do.
And it used to be that we would consider these kinds of tactics like really American, let's say, like screaming marketing. But by now, also here in Europe and in the very sober country of the Netherlands, we're all used to it by now, and we don't even notice it anymore.
Yeah, but yes, and if you look at what is around that, if you have so many customers like a Booking or Expedia, etc., there is no way you can do this at scale A/B testing with 20 experiments without tons of algorithms / AI / machine learning,
of course,
behind it, in order to get there. Yeah. So and here comes my worry of question. How do we know, or how do we, as a consumer, you look at the website and you think, oh, okay. How do you know you're being manipulated? We could take a page as an example where you point, if you want to, or just do that later, where you point out this is one, that is one, like, for instance, the social proofing.
Yeah, well, we can do that, but I think most people already know that it's there. We can point out some things that might be fun, but you don't know that it's being used on you, because you know that it's being used everywhere.
It's so common that you don't notice it anymore.
You don't notice it. You know it, but you don't notice it, and so we know we're being influenced, but what we don't know is if we're being manipulated. That's where the problem lies, I guess. We also don't know if we're being tested. Like I don't know if I go to Amazon or to Booking or Expedia if I'm part of some like big multivariate test to figure out if the green button works better than a blue one. It doesn't say like, dear customer, right now you are subject to being tested or whatever, because uh, that wouldn't work. As soon as I know that I'm being tested, I won't behave the same way. I mean, that's what we know from psychology research. That's also one of the problems that psychology research has been coping with for the last decades, is ethics of experimentation. Because if we tell a subject that they're being experimented on, that they're participating in an experiment, and we are truthful about it, then immediately the experiment becomes corrupted because people will behave in a different way. And we saw
So,
this like with all these famous studies, like these Milgram experiments, the authority, the shocking people, and the Asch experiment, and the prisoner's dilemma, and you name them.
all of them.
All experiments in which a lot of the participants experienced really psychological distress and sometimes even trauma after it. But it gained very, very, very valuable and insightful knowledge to the community, and so that's a problem. I mean, these companies are testing on us all the time, and we don't know that we're being tested upon. We are just all part of this one big experiment, let's say.
If I relate this to myself, I have no problem being in a A/B test or whatever without knowing it,
Hmm.
if it's for the good of me. And let me explain for the good of me.
Yeah,
It's like, okay, if it helps me finding the best deal, or a product that actually fits my needs,
yeah,
or it helps me better define my needs so that you can search easier and you get better results or less results. So I have less stress of choice, because I think that's one of the problems with all these platforms. They know we get stress of choice, as choice stress.
yeah.
The offering, there's so many offerings. How the hell do I
Yeah, it's
choose?
paradox of
Now, how
choice.
do I know that I chose the right product or the right supplier or the right offering? I don't know in advance. And so that's why ratings are so important, because someone else made the choice and was happy with it.
Well, all
So
these
that's,
techniques are important because, like all these heuristics, when do they come into play? Are they activated by us in situations in which we have to make choices, and especially in situations where we don't know which choice to make. So the more complex the environment becomes, the more we are inclined to trust certain behavioral or heuristic cues onto which direction to take. So that's why all these techniques that are based on these unconscious processes work so well in these like uncomparable and complex environments.
yeah, but I understand that. What I was going at, is that I don't mind if it's
If
for
it's
the
in
good
your
of me,
benefit, yeah, yeah, yeah,
if it helps me do better,
yeah. That goes
basically.
right back to my definition of like ethical, right? So it's about the intention of the person of the sender of the message. So if the sender has your well being uh, at heart, then he or she or it will will do experiments that will benefit you. It will also benefit them, but that's not a problem because we know it's a commercial situation and that they have to make money. So if it's a mutually beneficial situation, then most people will just acknowledge and agree to being experimented upon, unless the experiment, of course, imposes some kind of real psychological, physical pain or trauma, like in these past experiments that I talked about. So that's like going a little bit too far. But besides that, we will think it's okay. But we don't know. They might also be doing experiments just to, with the main goal is to get as much money out of my wallet into theirs, without taking any regards to my preferences or my feelings or whatever. We just don't know what they're doing.
Well, here's the interesting part. I had a look at some numbers. If you take the revenue and profit trends of Booking Holdings, so all the companies that are within Booking
Yeah.
and Expedia, and you For instance, you see Booking Holdings. Of course, they bought some companies probably, but in 2010 they had a 3.08 a billion revenue.
Ooh.
And in 2024 it was 23.7 something
Wow.
billion revenue, but the profit, Booking Holdings, went from 528 million US dollars to 5.8 billion, so
Wow.
tenfold. So
Wow.
it's about, basically they have a margin, a net profit of 24%, 24 point something percent of their revenue.
Yeah.
Now, something tells me if this is after cost, imagine the percentage or the amount of people or companies pay for advertising, um, or they sell data. I don't know, but if you think where this comes from, it's it's the hoteliers and the consumer overpaying. So I don't think the class action part is there's some truth to it. Let me put it that way.
Of course, there's always truth to these things. Yeah, I totally agree. Um, I think
So
that,
so
that
so
they,
the point I was trying. So let me finish.
yeah, yeah,
The point I was trying to make, that I don't have a problem with experimentation, but if I look at these numbers, then my feeling, and it's an assumption, I can't prove it with anything, that the experimentation is geared toward a higher profit and not necessarily to giving me the best deal or offer or whatever. It's just having me decide to buy on their platform a certain hotel with probably a high margin for them, which commercially I totally understand. Nothing wrong with that. But from an ethical perspective,
yeah.
eh,
But be honest, we don't know.
no, that's the problem.
So that's a problem. Maybe they're doing stuff that's actually so good for people that a lot more people want to use their systems. I don't hear about that. I don't hear people saying that, oh, Booking has done some magnificent thing that actually made all my wishes come true in terms of my preferences and the offers that they're making. But they must be doing something well, because otherwise they would not rise. Unless, and that's the second part, of course, is if they're the only provider or the almost only provider, that you always end up with them, even if you don't like it. And that's the whole part about the market monopoly and the manipulation side of things. And I think, I think in every industry we have to watch out for these kinds of giants, like controlling the entire market and giving you the feeling of reactance when you like say fuck you and I'm going to a different website, but you don't even know that this different website is also owned by them. So everywhere you go, you're helping them, and that might actually be something in terms of transparency that I would find ethical, is to obligate these companies to always put the logo of their like mother company or mother holding or whatever on there, so that you will know that it's actually part of the same group, and that you might expect to get like similar results or similar offers or whatever. But we like to have free choice as humans, and of course all these companies know that, so they want to offer you free choice. So they just buy companies and they let them hold their own labels, just so that there are many, and that you as a consumer always have the sense, oh, I can go somewhere else.
it's interesting you should say that. A long time ago, I worked for a Dutch insurance company, big corporation,
Mm-hmm.
amazing company. However, there was one of the directors. He had this strategy, this strategy, and he called it the multi fishing rod strategy.
Yeah, I can imagine.
He says, so we had a lot of different brands of insurers, and they're all fishing the same pond of customers and working with intermediaries, working direct, etc., etc. And his philosophy was, it doesn't matter, whether they choose left or right. As long as they end up with one of our companies, I'm totally
Exactly.
fine with
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
But we need to have fishing rods, in the water in order to be able to catch them.
Yeah.
And at some point, because same company, different, of course, different products, different offerings, or similar offerings. But it was actually the intermediary that sort of got fed up with that situation because they
Okay.
couldn't explain it to the consumer anymore.
No.
Um, so there was pressure from the intermediaries, like, hey, you got to do this differently because it's not helping in our relationship, but not necessarily in our relationship with the consumer.
Yeah,
We need
because
to explain to
they're
them.
also like expected to be independent, and if they
Yeah,
come with three different offers, but upon
the same
questioning and
company.
questioning, it's all the same company. Then as a consumer, you're like, where's your independence? You're only offering
And
like three things of the same company. But then again, if that's the only offers there are, because this company has a monopoly on the entire market, yeah,
well, it didn't have a monopoly, but it had quite a few labels. Now, the interesting part is, and I have to be honest, when I worked there, I thought it was a really interesting and amazing strategy that worked really, really well.
mm-hmm.
Now, being away for a long time, and in this day and age, with what we know now and the technologies that are available, it's like this is a very dangerous strategy. It has become a dangerous strategy, like all these booking platforms are doing because you end up pulling the customer, like you said. Yeah, be honest about it. It's the same platform, same buying party behind it,
Yeah,
one big power. Um, why do you differentiate between the platforms? Okay, you might have different target groups, but a hotel booking is a hotel booking, so there's no difference between hotel.com, Expedia,
mm,
or
yeah.
whichever one. Doesn't matter. We just name all the names so we're safe. Uh, so yeah, I think there's a real opportunity here for transparency, honesty, um, and finally not finding a loophole or a little
Yeah.
edge road in the middle somewhere in order to sort of play with the rules, because that's what I see. It's like, okay, we abide by the rules legally, we can explain that we're abiding the rules,
Yeah,
but from a ethical consumer perspective, you're still screwing me over.
exactly.
uh, but you're hiding it better.
Yeah.
That's or you misuse the legal boundaries, or
And this is also like where I think there are some real big threats and also real big opportunities in terms of AI. I mean, if you have an AI agent, like because we're going into this era now of agentic AI. We've passed the plain LLMs and we're going towards things that can actually help us. Um, then these these systems will be much less vulnerable to these heuristics that are being used all the time, because
you
they
mean
will
they're not
just compare
emotional.
data. They will just compare all the offers that they're having and all the back end stuff, and they will just decide for you if it's actually a rarity to get this room in July, or if it's readily available. So this might help consumers a lot in their choice process. Like we would have like these specific travel agents that we can just that know our preferences, and we can just trust these agents. If you know, uh, of course, the presumption is that we can trust agents. And we can trust AI. Okay, but that's a different discussion, because then you can discuss everything. But let's just keep on the topic of the developments now. Um, that that would be great. On the other hand, AI can also be put to use by the other side, and by yeah, you see
It's
fake
already
news
being
and
used.
everything now, and uh, a company could choose to like create an booking.com lookalike website within a few minutes. I mean, I do some coding too. If I go to my Bolt account and I write a prompt I have a website up and running within a minute that actually looks and feels like booking.com. I can put a marketing action on it, and I have it taken offline within one day, and you will see a lot of that going on too. Like it's becoming so easy to make fake and genuine indistinguishable from each other, and that's going to be a real problem. I mean, it's already now. The main area where you see this, of course, is in the news. we don't know at one point what is real and what's not, where we are getting emotional about and whatnot. No, if I remember when the Ukraine war just started, and I was looking because I have people that I know lived in the vicinity, and I was looking late at night into what I thought was a live feed of a Russian bomb, like demolishing a building, one of these like cluster bombs, and you saw actually a mushroom coming up and stuff like that. And I actually, it was like 3 at night. I started crying because I thought, my God, I just witnessed like a few hundred people like being incinerated at once, and I was really emotional about that. It felt to watch that live. It was so devastating. Next day, I found out it was just a movie that they had edited into the live stream of some kind of a bomb experiment in a small town that they did like 6 years ago or whatever. Wasn't even this war. And I felt so manipulated because I spent my emotions, I was crying about this. So what what will happen is will people become more wary about what they see and will also be more reserved in their emotional response, but also in their empathy. Uh, I mean, do I have empathy for a war in which I don't know who the bad guy is anymore because there's all this stuff going on, like being put out, and I mean the same goes for, well, not on the ethical and the emotional side, but for the commercial industry. What is real anymore? What is real and what is scam and what is fake and what is manipulation and what is not manipulation? Uh, AI knows all these techniques and all these heuristics and stuff like that, but still, can I like trust it not to use them against me? I mean, maybe the AI themselves are using these techniques against me. I haven't caught one yet that does it, but could be easily prompted to do so, of course.
Yeah, and part of the problem is with AI, you can do this at scale,
Very, yeah,
uh,
yeah,
massively hyper personalization, fully databased at
yeah,
scale,
yeah.
at lightning speeds. It's actually quite worrisome. Would you be
Hyper personalized. Like I know a company that I won't name any names, but they worked with a big platform in the past, basically to do some scientific experiments. But they figured out a system that would actually that would measure your past behavior on the platform in terms of what kind of propositions do you click on. Like if we present to you something that we say is scarce, are you clicking on it or not? And if we present the same thing and we say that is most popular last month, do you click on it? No? Oh, and if we present something and we tell you that it's very similar as something you've already chosen like last year, then do you click on it? And they found out that if we just like tune in our messaging onto what kind of propositions somebody has chosen in the past, that it increases conversion by an immense amount. And so that's not even hyper personalization in terms of preferences, that's hyper personalization in terms of psychology. It's targeted persuasion psychology. And if you explain that from a pro ethical point of view, you would say, well, okay, I've made a system that presents information to a user exactly in the way that this user wants information to be presented. And that this user is like has a preference of making choices about. If somebody always looks at what other people are doing, then it would be beneficial for me and for the user to present some kind of information in terms of what other people are doing. Other people are choosing this, other people are choosing that, so many people are choosing this and that. So that would be an ethical explanation. The
Well, the
unethical
interesting,
explanation, of
right,
course, is
right.
you don't know as a user, and we're just like mind fucking you all the way until your wallet is empty.
And what if both are being done? Because if you look at these Booking or Expedia, they have so many outlets that what if they use the data they gather about you on one platform and they use it to manipulate you or push you to do something on another platform? What is this if this data is centrally stored and used? I have no idea. I've never bothered to read all the privacy statements, but I wouldn't be surprised, and I'm going to have a look into it.
Yeah. Well, what
If it says in the privacy statement that they can use your data on a group level, if that is the case, that's really interesting because then you're being manipulated across platform, which is
but they would
even
have to use, and that's interesting to look into, because there's different forms of your data, and the most commonly used form is the data you actively like share with the company, like your preferences and choices, etc. What you see until now, at least a lot less, is behavioral data. Of course, you have statistics, web analytics, but that's usually anonymous or depersonalized. But I've not really seen that much that they have in their in their terms and conditions that on an individual level they have the right to keep your behavioral data and use that like across platforms. That would be interesting to see. Because normally with personal data, they're talking about things that are about you and not things that you do.
well. The interesting part is if it's not defined specifically, but just say personal data, then behavioral data is probably in it.
But yeah, we'll see you in the court
Uh,
of law to decide what it is.
I'm gonna have a look into that. Look at I can use AI to analyze it,
Yeah, of course.
and tell me if it allows them. And please reference me to the part in the terms and conditions where it says so.
Yeah.
So I'll do just that and put that in the
No,
comments
yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Are you willing to go for a small experiment? We open a page on booking.com and have a look at a page, see what's going on, just for a
Yeah, sure.
consumer
Yeah, sure.
to understand. Okay, cool. Of course, I was. Hold on.
Just for good measures, we should also take an Expedia page then.
Yeah, okay. We'll do the Expedia page after this. Okay.
Yeah.
So hold on. I'm gonna change the language to
I hope I
English.
can read it because I'm. Yeah. Okay.
Can you read it now?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So I asked for some Barcelona, some dates, 2 adults in one room. Just okay. First of all, here's the complicated part. It starts with Barcelona, 923 properties found. I'm Genius level 3. I've booked quite a lot with Booking. They know 90% of whatever they have in here is not relevant for me. So, but this number gives me stress.
Well, my question would be directly, and that's also related to the slap on the wrist that I got some time ago. 923 properties found where? So I would say 923 properties found in our system. So maybe there are hotels even that are not in their system, and that you can book somehow through another site or whatever.
No, they only offer what they actually have in their system, but it doesn't mean necessarily it's available.
No,
like
okay, availability is
here.
Yeah,
it says unavailable for your dates on our site.
But if you go back, because you're very fast, like clicking on the map.
Sorry, of course.
Interesting too is that they say 67% of places to stay are unavailable for you for your dates on the site. That might actually be like a good piece of information for me, because they don't benefit really by saying that almost nothing is available, because it's not a typical way of practicing the scarcity heuristic. There's only one left heuristics. because they're saying a lot of stuff is unavailable. So they're actually kind of disqualifying their own site by saying that, which I find interesting. And yeah.
So if they're not
Of course,
available,
it does create a sense of urgency. That is.
Here, only show available properties. I was looking for this one.
Okay.
Let's see what happens. And then it says still 923 found. I would assume that number would go down.
Because they say
76. Exactly. So it's
it's like is this 923? Is that like the 24%? Is the question, or is it like 923 properties found and only 24% is being shown of that right now? But I don't think so, because they say 923 properties found, and you say only show available properties, so it should be based on your filters. 76% of places to stay are unavailable on our site. So that would mean that normally they would have a lot more properties available than 923. I guess.
Or 923 is all the properties available in their database, and only 76% have space.
That would mean that only 24% of this 923 is being shown right now. But that's also not the case. I mean, this is the part. This is the start already. Like, things are not clear. Numbers is and that's a very big thing. Like in these sites with high volumes and high amounts of products. What do the numbers mean? Like I said earlier, what does it mean to get a 23% discount? What does it mean that this is the most popular accommodation in this city, for instance? Who goes there? What does most popular mean? Is that like a fraction more popular than the number 2, or is that like everybody goes there? And who is everybody? Are these people like me? They used to have, I don't know if they still have it, but they used to have in their reviews, they used to have a similarity filter, which was quite interesting, because then you could read reviews of a certain hotel, and you could filter these reviews by type of person or type of traveler, and that would instantly make these reviews much more relevant for me, because then I could choose, like, am I a family with children, or am I a single business traveler, or whatever. And then the ratings would actually start to make much more sense.
Well, we'll have a look at it in a minute.
Yeah.
Because it says something underneath here as well. Commission paid on bookings and other factors, which ones they don't say, can affect property rankings. Learn about these ranking parameters and how to select and modify them.
Yeah.
Okay. So I would assume that if you click that, it tells you what to do in nice, easy, short form.
And that you can modify them there, because what they're basically saying is, look, we found some things for you, but we don't actually think if they fit you really well. So it might also just be some bullshit that we're putting out there.
Yeah. So let's see if we click it. What happens? Okay.
You come to the terms and conditions or something.
No, this
star ratings. Yeah.
Jesus. So they don't make it easy for you to find.
No.
It's hidden somewhere.
They don't.
I didn't ask about
exactly.
car rentals.
This is not like price transparency.
No. Okay. We're gonna go back to this. Let me put it. If you want to figure this out, it's not very useful.
That's a job for an AI to go through that and make sense of it.
We'll do that. Okay. Well, here we see it's a Genius offering. Here, the interesting part, it's an ad.
Yeah.
So,
which they kind of make clearly recognizable. They have a different color, so that's okay. You will know that it's an ad, but they are embedded in the results. So
and here you see the scarcity. Only one room left at this price on our site.
Yeah,
which is
that's the slap on the wrist that I got some years ago. That they have to say that.
Legally. Okay. Now this one has
then you
free
see, Yeah,
taxi.
yeah.
And
So that's like the reciprocity principle by Cialdini. Like
yeah,
when we get things for free,
I give.
then we are more inclined to say yes to requests that are being made by the person or by the entity that has given us these things. So we feel like now that we are getting some things for free,
Okay.
and that feels good, and that makes us more inclined to click. Then also you have the from to price. You see there, the
This one.
seven, the one is striked through, the small one, the seven. What is it? 95,
Yeah.
and then it's the 506. So that's the from price. But what is this price? That's also interesting to see. When
Ah.
you say original
So
price, it says original price.
so we
Okay.
so we did a little homework. Of course, we didn't want to waste time looking for this, so we tried Trivago to see comparing
Yeah.
the different. Sorry, this one. And here we see a different story. 11% cheaper than our forecasted price. We get something different.
That's interesting
Uh,
because they use a forecasted price, and like European law says that you should use if communicating it as a discount, you should use the average price over the last. So backcasting, let's say, not forecasting. But you don't
so
know. Maybe, and then that's when it becomes manipulation. Maybe this site, for instance, has a business rule in place that says if the amount of discount uh, is higher when looking at a backcast than a forecast, then you should use that one. And if it's higher when you use a forecast, then you should use that one.
but we don't know.
No,
That's
but then it
maybe
becomes like manipulation. And they're not showing the same data all the time. And even though it might be true in their perspective, because a forecast, of course, is a forecast, so it's never either like true in the moment itself or not.
yeah. But look at this. Look at all these prices. Okay, we see here 559, 605, 605, 631, 605.
Mhm.
Different sites.
Yeah.
But if you go back to
You see, they also
booking,
say they're our lowest price, so they also make sure that that it's on their side.
but if we go to booking, it says here 795, but we never see anywhere 795.
No, that would be like the original price, I guess, like the advice price or something. They use advised price a lot with physical products. The manufacturers, they say this is the advised price, but
Could be, but
nobody ever uses that price because it's way too high. That price is just something that is created out there, put out there, in order to make discounts seem more attractive.
okay. But let's have a look at the site of the actual hotel. See what they
Yeah.
what they offer it for, because then it becomes really interesting. Um, First of all, they say the 24% is between the 1st of July and the 31st of August. Now, if we go to,
Summer deal, yeah.
sorry, I need to get this one. If we go to the deal, they say between March 28th and September 30th.
Yeah,
Different deal.
and now it's called a getaway deal.
Different deal doesn't match the dates of the actual hotel.
Yeah.
Interesting. Do they have a different deal? I'm already lost, right? As a
Right,
consumer.
because there are so many variables and there are so many options within each variable. Like I would like to see any of these travel agencies database to see how many different kinds of discounts there are. I think
And here,
you will be amazed to see how many kinds of discounts there are.
oh, I believe there are many. But here's the other one. Booking.com pays. You're getting a reduced rate because Booking.com is paying part of the price. They're not paying part of the price. They're getting less commission. They're not paying part of the price. They're just, it's not being paid to the hotelier anyway. But how is this even possible? Because of course I get a genius discount, a getaway deal, and they pay 41.15, and they also give me a free airport taxi. Um, how,
Probably
it
made a
doesn't make
big
sense.
deal with the taxi company.
I don't know, but it's just not credible. And Booking.com's, it does not pay 41.15 to the hotel, because that's what it says here. But I don't believe that's true.
Well,
They just take
it
less
should be. It
commission.
should be because I sincerely doubt that they would just flat out lie on these in these algorithms, especially if they have to show it consumer facing.
I don't know. I would highly doubt it. But so if we go to the hotel, sorry, the same room, we get the price, and it's the deal, 571.50. Now, if we go to the
But here
Ritzing
it's called a
hotel,
summer deal, another there it's called a getaway deal. So that's also like
so the 795 is nowhere to be found. If it's 25%, that's 125 or 25% off. We would have to calculate it back. So I'm going to calculate back. I'm just curious now because 571.5
yeah,
divided by 1.
795.
Sorry, not. I did. Shit, I didn't do it right. That would be 762.
No, it's
But
near.
that's
It's
again,
near. It's near. Well,
yeah, but it's not the same number.
no,
It doesn't add up.
no,
You can't.
no.
So the point I'm trying to make it is if you can't convince them, confuse them. There are so many. It's like you said. There's so many variables. How the hell am I
And they're
supposed?
almost incomparable. There are a few sites, of course, that try to compare them, but that's also well, I would not like to be responsible for that for making that comparison, like a genuine and valid and credible comparison, because it's so difficult. You also see this in the financial industry, like with insurance products. These are all and mortgages. They all have their own little quirks and their own little benefits and their own little things, which makes it so hard to compare them, and especially for a consumer to make sense of such a comparison. Like, what does it mean? Like, is this for 1 year or for 5 years or 10 years? And what does it mean that I get like duurzaamheidskorting or whatever?
Yeah, it's I
And
don't
these
know.
companies will all say, like, oh, but hey, we're giving them all the information they need, and we're giving them all the options and the filter options they need, etc., etc. But they're just being overwhelmed. And what we know from psychology is when we're overwhelmed, we tend to revert to these very basic ways of making decisions. So we'll just look at what's the most discount, or what are the most what's the highest rating amongst the highest amount of people. These very basic things that we say we don't really use all the time, but we actually do. And especially in these situations, which our level of doubt is increased.
Just for reference, we have now Expedia. We also searched in Barcelona, same dates. Of course, we get a total different offering, different pricing. We didn't fill in um, any filter options just to see what would happen.
It's also nice that when you look at these listings, that they attach words here to their review scores. So, like, above 9 is wonderful, I guess, and above 9.4 is exceptional. I don't know what these words
Here,
are. Are these words that they have for certain categories, or are these like quotes by customers? Wonderful, exceptional. So
ah,
it's interesting to see that they are like feeding you with a value judgment about a rating, because for some people maybe a 4.1 is not exceptional. It's relative to what you are comparing it to, and then good for a lot of people, good is good enough.
and they changed the color of the
Exactly,
little square.
exactly. So that's like a high level persuasion going on right here, like attaching these emotional values to like dry numbers.
And sign in for extra savings.
Yeah, of course, that's
And
true too.
scarcity,
We have
one left
left
at
uh,
247. One left at $54 off.
Yeah, but they're not saying on our site.
Yeah.
They should, if Booking does it, then they should do that too.
Yeah, different company.
Yeah, different lawsuit.
And interesting, they say, okay, we have one left. So why didn't you put in here, we have 24 left? So
because that's not that these are the business rules, like I said earlier. The business rules determine, like, if this number drops down below a certain threshold, then should we put this label out there, because we know that only then this label will become significant in influencing people's behavior. If we say that we have 600 rooms left in this big hotel, that's not like it. It puts me at ease that there are enough rooms left, but it doesn't create a sense of urgency, and they want to create a sense of urgency and not put you at ease.
And here's the other thing. I don't know why. Here they all put with all the hotels how much the drive is to the beach. What if I don't have a car? What if I'm not interested in the beach? It's totally could be totally irrelevant.
Yeah, or every single one you click has a version with a car included, because they've now primed you to go to the beach. So you want to go to the beach, so you're more susceptible to also hire a car, because there's put beach in your head.
And the other thing I find remarkable, to say the least, this hotel. It's not about the hotel. I don't care about the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at the rating, so it has an exceptional rating of 9.8,
mm-hmm.
but only 177 reviews. Now, how can this be have the same value as one of the other ones, which have a lot more reviews?
Well, that's also a matter of personal preference. It's funny that you should mention it, because I used to have this exact example in my seminars. Like, if you have one hotel and it has a score, now let's take this one, 9.0 based on 451 ratings. Okay. That's a more reliable rating, let's say, because there are more reviewers, right? But then you have a 9.8. Now we have to take a lower one. Then we have an 8.8 based on 1,000 reviews. So that's actually a more reliable rating, but it's a bit lower. The rating is lower. Now let's say, for instance, just as a thought experiment, let's say you would see that of these 499, now we have to have one in which the lower number of reviews is also a lower rating.
Lower number of reviews.
Yeah, well, okay, but you can imagine the situation. It's just nice to have.
This one.
Yeah. Okay, so you have an 8.8. Okay, this is a good one. You have an 8.8, 2,200 reviewers, very reliable, and you have a 7.4 based on 574 reviewers. Okay, so it's less reliable and it's a lower score. Okay, let's say now that you have a button that you can click. And it connects you to Facebook and LinkedIn, and it shows for every rating what your social network is doing. So now you see that the 8.8 based on 2002, nothing is listed there, but the 7.4, you see a little badge appear that 9 of your Facebook friends have actually given this hotel a positive review. So now what becomes the more interesting one? Is it still the one that has more reliability, or the one that your friends have chosen? You see,
people like me.
People like me. So it's very personal what these things mean to people, and they just try to put out a hill shot and cover as much ground as they can, of course.
Yeah, it's interesting, and they sort by recommended, but they don't say recommended based on what.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and then if you go to,
I mean, do they even know you? Do you?
I'm not logged in, so they should.
You're not even logged in, so why? Yeah, they're just recommended by them based on I don't know.
Whatever.
Yeah, what they make the most profit on. Yeah, so it's very, very untransparent, like how they're using all this data, And what
You
it means
wanted
to
to
me.
see. You wanted to see before. You wanted to see the drill down in the score.
Oh yeah,
So here you see
yeah.
we aim for 100% real reviews. Okay,
Okay,
that's
that's.
fine. Reviewers. Here you can see the couples. So all is 8.9.
Where do you
That's
see
what the
that?
family say.
Oh, the screen was lacking,
Here.
I guess. Okay, oh, there. Yeah, that's exactly what I meant. Does the
So
total score then change too if I filter on that? Like it
no, it's just really weird.
so it
It
just
should,
shows me the actual reviews. It doesn't show me the score that these people.
and they're all tens. That is and nines.
Well, I would expect that I would now get a different score, overall score,
Yeah.
based on just this selection that I'm making, and that's not what's changing actually. So it's
No.
just changing the actual reviews themselves, but not the total of the scores that the hotel got from this group of people, because that's
Yeah.
what I want to know.
Yeah. But it's not being helpful. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's
Well, maybe we gave them a thought for a new experiment.
to wrap this up, Misha. If you would be able to, if, let's say you were to advise the board of a platform or the marketing department of a platform how to ethically all these social techniques, including the use of AI, which we know is being used, but we're
Yeah, yeah.
exactly high, but we know if you want mass customization or personalization, then there's no choice technically.
Hmm.
So what would you tell them? What would be your advice?
Well, my advice would be first to make an inventory of the number of the nature and the number of data points that you would want to use for this. So both like explicit and implicit. Explicit as in people set that themselves that they want a certain kind of preference, and implicit is more like meta information, like about the behavior. And I would create an onboarding process for a site like this that would actually ask my visitors what kind of information they want us to collect
You
about them, and
okay?
also and stating immediately what benefit that has to us as a company, but also to them as a customer.
So
So
the mutual
the
benefit.
mutual benefit, make this mutual benefit like very explicit. What does it help you as a customer to achieve? Will it reduce your choice stress or paradox of choice, or will it help you save some money because of some kind of comparison that is being made? Or does it do nothing, but is it only good for us? But hey, that's because you like us, right? I mean, that could also be a reason. It's not any good for you, but we're making money off it. But you've traveled with us a lot, and we kind of know that you like us. So maybe that's just enough reason for you to like allow us to have this little bit of extra money. That could be something, but be transparent about it. Name it and be transparent about it. And then I guess you could have algorithms, AI or algorithms. I mean, there's a difference, of course, but let's
Yeah,
put
but
it
in the European
algorithms.
AI Act, under the European AI Act, an algorithm is considered AI.
Yeah, okay. So then it's AI, but you can use those to actually start collecting this data and making these smart comparisons on a hyper personalized level. Because if you're asking them, your customers, to what kind of data to collect, you are also kind of uh, obliging yourself to use this data in a hyper personalized way, because that's then what a customer expects. I mean, he or she will say like, okay, this is a benefit for me. That's nice. I want this. So of course, if I want this with every query I do or every booking I make. Uh,
And it should get better with every booking.
exactly. And maybe I should also see how my data profile is developing, how personalized it gets, like a graph. Like with every search I do, I see that my profile, my AI generated profile, is becoming a little bit more smart for me.
As
So
a search.
maybe the what is now, let's say, running in the background as part of search algorithms could actually evolve to be my personalized travel agent if you put it in an LLM enabled chat enabled interface.
Oh, well, Misha, that is a interesting view, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see all of this happening because technology is just moving
Yeah,
at lightning speed.
or remove technology all the same, right? So you could also have a chatbot that doesn't do this and actually strips it of everything, like we talked about in the early beginning, like
Well, I see a
case everything
combination.
off and just compares prices, for instance.
Well, I see a combination happening, and what I do see happening is that um, the problem, big tech, and I would consider Expedia and Booking big tech,
Mm-hmm.
also because of their market domination.
Yeah.
Um, that once the consumer understands that he's either being manipulated or paying too much, and these class action suits actually gain traction and win in court, or they're being paid off by Booking or
Mm-hmm.
other ones. I think then you have a problem because then it is confirmed that you cannot trust these platforms to work in your interest.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that is going to be a real difficult one, even though people are used to it. The real difficult one to, if basically you have the feeling by what you read in the press that they're taking money from you without explaining it to you or telling it to you. I think most consumers, at least the Dutch consumers, are not going to be happy about that.
No, and especially if there's no alternative. I mean, we also know that when we're on social media, we are also the product, but at
Yeah.
least on social media, it's not directly costing us money from our bank account or from our wallets. And here it is. So here, I think it's more urgent to also create an alternative that does live up to the expectations or the desires of the consumer.
Um, I'm totally with you. So let's wait and see. Misha, thank you very much for this insightful talk.
It was my pleasure.
And let's see in due time when the class action shoot, when things are
Yeah.
happening. We'll have a look what the comments are and what pops up on the.
I'm
on
not
the
a
rules and
lawyer, right? I'm
regulations.
just a psychologist.
No. This is about human behavior.
Exactly.
And the influence of online techniques, or actually psychological techniques, translated to an online environment,
Yeah.
and a layer of AI on top of it to actually execute it at scale. So that's what's happening.
And a question of ethics, if it's good or if it's bad. Yeah.
And I think in the boardroom they need to start thinking about, okay, we make a lot of money, but are we doing it in an ethical way?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is more and more going to be a problem. If you look at all the protests and everything, people are going to protest with their wallets.
Yeah.
Okay, no. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, man.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye.